First of all, thank you so much, Tanisha, for being with us. On behalf of the whole TEDx Hindu College team, I would like to put forward the gratitude of the whole team. The whole team obviously couldn't be here for the podcast, but like on behalf of all of them, thanks for being here. And to all the viewers listening to this, Tanisha is an alumni of Hindu College and also of University of Sydney. She is fighting a real hard battle with cancer and also spreading the education about it. So, Tanisha, thank you so much for being with us. I hope
Thank
we
you
have
for
a great
having me.
conversation.
Yes, me too. Thank you for having me and the Hindu team, the TEDx team in specific, for getting me on board. I really wanted to come on this because Hindu College does lack a little bit of awareness about health. When I was there, I was not aware that we should be getting health checkups, and with this podcast, I think that changes for a lot of people.
I really hope do. People are actually not concerned about health as Hindu, even now also being
Yeah.
studied there. So I do understand. So
Yeah.
first things first, let's start breaking this slowly, and let's gradually move in a very structured way to this conversation. So first thing is that there is this thing that humans get once they get to know about an adversity or a bad thing happening in their life. It could be losing someone, it could be having getting to know that you are suffering from this particular phenomena or disease. So it's not natural because it's like very sudden and you get this sudden human stimulus to that. So I would really like to know, and I hope I'm not asking a very personal or triggering question here.
It's all right.
So, or perhaps you wanna expand on that, that how was the first encounter after knowing that, you're going to face this problem that is cancer?
Yeah. Um, so as everyone knows, that I did find it out in Australia. The process was, I think, even before that. During COVID, I know COVID affected a lot of people differently, and I was affected too. But at the time, I didn't realize how severe it could have been. So during COVID, I lost 7 kgs out of nowhere. And for my background, I just want to tell that I am a football player, I am a table tennis player. I used to also dance in Hindu. I was in the Shajja society. Um, I just want to say that since I've had such a healthy lifestyle, so to say, I never expected to suddenly have a drastic health scare. It doesn't come to your head when you're living a very routine lifestyle. So during COVID, when I was working out, I just thought I'm losing weight because I'm working out and not because of something else. And gradually, I stopped eating. So I went for a checkup with my father, and we do believe in like health checkups. Like my family is into it. When we went, the person he misdiagnosed me because I do come from a smaller city. I think that could be a con for that. So they said I'm a borderline hyperthyroid patient, so to say. I didn't take it that seriously because they just told me you have D3 and B12 deficiency and you can get injections for that. And later, cut to Australia, I had the same symptoms. And since I was in the foreign land, I did, think maybe I'm just, not surviving properly, like I'm a student and, this is what happens to students. Um, all that was going on, but besides that, one major thing that happened was that my swelling came about on my neck. And that's when things changed for me. I thought, this is scary. And that thought stayed with me for 3 to 4 months. I didn't tell my parents, I didn't tell my sister. I was just living with it. I was living such a normal, happy life, doing my part time job, doing my studies, mingling with friends. But at some point, I really took it upon myself that it's about time. It's my body. I need to take care of it. No one else is going to tell me that, you have to take care of your life. So I went to the doctor, got a blood test, and to be honest, I knew it's going to be bad. So my first reaction wasn't, oh, how can you say this to me? And, I didn't react aggressively. My reaction was perhaps like more calm. I was literally sitting in the same sort of a chair, and my doctor looks at me and she's like, it's probably a tumor. And I look at her and I say, oh, is that so? And then she's like, yeah, you need to get a blood test. And I said, sure, like I have to. Like I knew it as soon as she said it that it's going to be bad. Like sometimes when you're living in denial for so long, it becomes your reality. So I think that's what happened with me, that I was living in denial that it's not going to be anything big, but because I delayed it, so to say, it did
Mm-hmm.
cost me a lot more chemo sessions. But I'm glad that it wasn't as scary because I'm still here. So to say, my destiny was,
Mm-hmm.
it took the wrong path or the wrong turn, but it could have been worse. So I really feel like I made it through. That's a good thing.
But was it like really, what do you say, shocking to hear or painful to hear? How was like that? And eventually, how was the effect of, how was the experience of your loved ones with this? Because, family, when they hear about such adversities, they are going to react in a very aggressive way usually. So how was that?
Initially, when I found out from my doctor the day the diagnosis came about, I was crying. Like, I'll be honest, I'm the kind of person who's anxious at times, and I cry it out or I journal it. Those are my two coping mechanisms. Like, I don't like burdening people, so at the time I wanted to process it myself and then have the courage to deal with it and let other people have the courage to deal with it. Like, I wanted to give everyone the space. So initially, when I got to know, I didn't tell my friends in Australia, and I told only one or two people. So, like they say, धीरे धीरे समझ आ रहा था क्या हो रहा है. So I started realizing what's really going on in my life. I was talking to 8 different doctors around the world, so it was a little vague in the beginning. The Australian doctors never tell you this is what you have. They always say maybe, because
Mm-hmm.
there the legal system is so hardcore that you can sue the doctor if the diagnosis is wrong. So when
Hmm.
they gave me the diagnosis, I was like, okay, they're saying a maybe. So maybe there's like 1% chance that I don't have it. So I was living in that, fantasy land where I'm
Hmm.
like, I could be the one, the exception that, it wouldn't happen to me. But I just, it was a 1 week of disaster, I can put it as that. My life is going to change. And
Hmm.
I called up my sister. She's like my rock, and she handles all my things with my parents if I'm scared to tell. That's how elder sisters are, I think.
Hmm.
And then she's like, okay, let's get on a call with them. And my parents were really happy in the beginning. I would say they were really, they were talking to me as if nothing can go wrong with me. That's how parents work. They don't want to even
Hmm.
think that something that bad can happen to their, kids. Um, I think after the call, my sister talked to me and she's like, I don't want to tell you anything what's going on in the family, but you should know that everyone's pretty worried. And I was like, I understand that. So my dad booked an emergency visa. He didn't have a visa for Australia, but he got it somehow within a week. And then we were talking to all the doctors, and all of them said, given the financial and the social environment that she needs right now, it's better for her to go to India and not stay in Australia. In
Hmm.
that sense, I think I get it from my family that we are very practical. I don't think we are emotional to the point that we will let that overpower our practicality and how we
Hmm.
want to deal with the situation. So all of us work good under pressure. Like, we don't crack as such. Like, we do process it in our own ways. I process it by crying. My mom and my dad probably talked about it, and they talked to
Hmm.
like multiple people to calm down. That it's what my dad said, that the only thing that I was happy about is that it was treatable. Like your diagnosis that came about, he was like, I just knew it in me that you will survive. So that was the only thing that kept him going. And for me, it was like I still didn't trust anything. So I was like, I have my trust issues with life. So when I came to India, they did all the tests again.
Hmm.
They didn't consider anything from Australia, so they poked me like 8 times on the day I landed. And I remember crying that day because I was at the hospital, and it just really hurt. Like, my body was in pain because of the fever. I had 103 fever for the past 15 days, and I traveled. I think the authorities wouldn't want to hear this, but I did travel with a lot of fever. I was popping Panadols in the flight, and I just made it somehow. They didn't even give me a wheelchair in Australia because they thought I'm a young person. They didn't even bother to ask me, how are you really, even surviving right now. I remember this time when I went to an emergency center. I had a prescription which said that she probably has a tumor, so she needs an ultrasound. And this lady looks at me and she's like, if you had this, you wouldn't be standing here right now. And from that point of time, I just started realizing how people have this kind of perception of young people, or like, I don't know, the way I look maybe doesn't scream patient to them. And it just made me feel so mad that, am I supposed to scream on top of my lungs how badly my body is feeling broken down? Is that how you're gonna understand? But I just like kept quiet and I just kind of dealt with it in my own way. I just like pulled through. And when I came, I did ask my surgeon. I was like, can you tell me straight up whatever you think is happening? I don't want to filter it out through my parents. The only thing that they kept away from me was my stage. Initially, I thought it's stage, 1 or something, but they were thinking that stage 4. So they wanted another checkup, and my parents, like my dad and my sister, they weren't telling me like what's really going on. So later I found out that they thought it's going to be stage 4, but I came down to stage 2B, which is like an advanced stage where your tumor has spread quite a bit. Stage 2A is a little milder, but still, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, if I may do so, like if we go into the details of this cancer was in which part of the body?
It was in the lymph nodes. So the one that I had was lymphoma, that affects your lymph nodes in the body. So
Mm-hmm.
I had it from my neck to almost the whole of my torso, leaving my limbs. So it was mostly like my lungs were almost affected, but I got a little lucky. My lungs weren't that affected. If it had been, I think it would have been another stage. Um, so I was glad that I had a few nodes here that was swollen up. So when the surgeon was checking it, initially I thought it's only here, but when he was checking it, he's like, you have a few here as well, like which are infected, which are like tumorous. So during the surgery, they were deciding, do we want to take out all of them, or do you want to just take out like 2 and check? So they just took out 2 from this side and they checked. That's how it happened.
And how do you feel is the social stigma attached to this particular thing? As in, when you hear like someone very young is facing an adversity like that, it is a toll on obviously on yourself, but obviously other people also have this sympathetic factor about you that oh you're facing this adversity and all that.
Yeah.
So how was that social stigma thing with you?
I think the stigma is only one thing, death. I think a lot of people feel, oh, she has cancer, she's not going to survive. Like, that is the only stigma that I had to practically come to terms with myself first, because when you watch so many movies, when you see the reality as well, like it's two things in one. Like, people automatically ask you, are you even going to be okay? That's the question. Like, they don't even assume that she's going to survive. They're like, oh my god, we don't know what's going to happen with her. So initially I was processing it myself, like, how is the surgery going to happen? Is it going to be a complicated surgery? And I've had 3 surgeries, right? I don't know how Indian healthcare works, but a lot of times I've faced that my anesthesia wasn't strong enough, so I could feel a lot. I could feel the surgery happen. So that was one thing that really gave me so much pain that I think it molded me in a way that anything that comes my way, I can deal with it. When you're sitting in that lab and when you can't move, you can't scream, you can't do anything to what's happening to you, you just have to take it. So I think that's life. Life gives you all these moments and you just have to be like, it is what it is and I have to deal with it. So I think the stigma was that I processed it myself for a month. I didn't talk to a lot of people. I didn't tell a lot of people because initially even I thought, I don't know what's going to happen to me 1 month down the line. Is it going to be effective? Is my chemo going to work? I had a lot of questions. Why? Why me? And gradually, the next month, it turned to, why not me? There are millions, billions of people. It can happen to anyone. And I think there's no reason for it. Scientifically, also, there are a lot of people who kind of judge you for your past, kind of, point fingers at you that, oh, she's lived a very fun college life and she's done, bad things. So maybe that is why. But I just want to tell those people, like, hello, I have lived a very disciplined life. I have napped between parties. I'm not a rager. I have not lived the craziest life out there. So I do believe it's fine if there's no reason for it. I've accepted that and they can too. So later I told my friends and I came out with it. I was like, this is what's happening with me and I'm just going to own it. Like, I don't know myself what's going to happen, but let's just see. Let's just see where life takes you.
But didn't you ask this question like life is a bit unfair because you yourself said like you were so disciplined about certain things in your life, not being a party person and being very active in your sports since childhood. So didn't you have this question like why me? Like after having done so much of sacrifices and with so much of discipline, why this particular thing has affected me?
I did, after for a bit. But after a point, I just realized this is not a question that I should be having. The question I should be having is how can I change my life now? Since whatever I'm dealing with is a very serious situation, I just thought to take it as an opportunity to turn my life into something else. So the question that I used to get up with every day is what am I going to do today that makes me worth it, that makes me worth surviving. Like it was a fight with myself, with my mind, with my body that, today I'm waking up, so I'm gonna paint and be the best at it today. Tomorrow I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna dream about going to Korea, the place I've always wanted to go. So I used to motivate myself into thinking there's always a reason to wake up the next day. Never run out of those reasons. If I did, then I wouldn't be here today. So I think I did think, why me? But like I said, if there's no scientific reason for it, then why should I waste my time thinking that every day of my life? Like, some things happen without a reason. And I think it's okay to accept that. Like, a lot of people live in the fear and they get anxiety because of the unknown. But to be honest, that's life. Like, you cannot always know everything. So.
Do you feel that sports had a major impact in your life in making you strong to face this particular adversity?
Sports, I think it has a lot to do with sports. Like, there's this line that I say that I've lost matches before, but this was not a match I was gonna lose. So in Hindu college itself, there was no women's team. I don't know if you know this, like there was no girls team for any sport. But when I came, I was really, really, into football and table tennis also. But I saw a football team and I thought I want to play. So I just like jumped right in. So I think that's my personality. If I want to do something, I jump right in. Like I don't want to care about what other people think, and if anyone's there to stop me, then I'll deal with it. Like I'm not scared to do that. So I started from scratch, built the team up to 15 people for the first time, and for the first time we reached the semi-finals. So if no one in the college could believe this could happen with Hindu, and just because I could believe and I made it happen, I think anything in life, you can do that with anything in life. If you have the mindset of a go getter, of a problem solver, of like, making things happen, just I'm not going to procrastinate about it. So, motivation and positive mindset is not a one day event. I think you need to wake up every day and choose to do that. So the fact that I'm choosing to do it, I'm sure at some point in my life, I'm gonna look back and feel like that was worth it. Like that was my moment when we reached the semis, and I was like, all of it was worth it. Like I was crying. I was like, this has never happened in the history, and it's never happened after. It was just that I tried to do something and it worked out. So give it your shot. Like why not? Like give it your shot at anything in life if you want to do it. Yeah.
And at the end, then share your story on TEDx Hindu.
Yeah. There was a joke that I used to do with my friends, like, welcome to my TED Talk. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, but here we are, and it's
I guess it's the
actual
reality now.
manifestation, I believe. It's the reality now. And yeah.
So, so
I'm
basic,
unemployed.
yeah, yeah.
I'm literally unemployed. I'm in my mid 20s. I'm pretty much not a person that anyone would want to listen to on a TED Talk, but I think I must have done something right, inspired at least one or two people out there to fight their battles harder. So yeah.
I guess people who are employed are just like I have to use this Hindi term. It's called bandhwa mazdoor, and they are basically not having any sort of goal and they are just aimlessly drifting towards one direction. So I, like, according to me, I really feel that instead of that, you devoting yourself to such a great aim, a vision is really wonderful. I really feel that. And
Um,
also, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead.
No, actually, my thing is very different. I want to ask you something else. You complete your thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been in a boarding school before since 7th till 12th, and I think because we trained in a way to have max productivity in a day, we do almost 3 to 4 things every day that we are occupied with. I think my personality has a lot to do with, no, I wouldn't say an overachiever, but I would say a hard worker in a way that I'm motivated to do something. And I think my reason to go on Instagram about it is also I realize I am making an impact on few people. Like they text me saying, "Hey Tanisha, you don't understand how looking at your video has made us feel." And some of them moms have like dealt with cancer before, and they like, "My mom watches your videos," and to be honest, all my grades in college, all of that trophies for sports, I think it doesn't compare to this feeling where someone says, if you are surviving, we want to survive too. I think that's a huge win for me personally. So I
And
think
that's a
that's pretty
wonderful
cool.
thing to hear. Like, you are inspiring others. What could be more wonderful than that?
Yeah, I would want to maybe write a book someday. I'm thinking, I'm working on it also currently. I think writing and having it to be timeless means a lot. I think someone could just grab my book one day, and if they don't have enough reasons to wake up the next day, I think my book should be one of the reasons. They should read it and feel like, damn, exactly. Like I'm gonna get up tomorrow and I'm gonna do what I wanted to do all the time. Like that's what I wanna do.
We all certainly hope you do that. And with regards to that, I want to ask you something about healing. Like, when it comes to a topic like cancer, there have been many theories ongoing that, healing is something that plays a very vital role. Many people say, affirmations, or, believing in yourself. Like, before the sleep, you say certain things to yourself, or in front of the mirror, you do that. But like, you are the person who is in that problem right now, so I would like to ask you, like, what is your take on healing?
Healing. I think healing has a lot to do with personally my mind control. I think I heal mostly because of the way I talk to myself in my mind. There are times at night where I'm overthinking. So, one part of your brain is always giving you the problems, and one part of your brain is going to come up with the solutions. That's how I function. Like I said, I'm a little too practical. I don't let my emotions take over too much anymore because the time that I have spent alone, I spent 6 months when the world was partying, when the world was traveling, doing that job. I had to sit alone and tell my mind to calm down. So my healing journey came about very slowly. I was progressing very slowly. I thought of doing meditation for half an hour, but it doesn't work like that for me. I cannot do traditional sort of meditations where I'm chanting. For me, it's more like I think something, I journal it out, I write everything that I'm thinking. While writing, I come up with things. Why shouldn't I, why shouldn't I try to do something about this? And then I come up with a solution for it, and the next day I do it. So before sleeping, I used to always tell myself, today I'm worrying about not waking up tomorrow, but tomorrow when I wake up, I'm not going to think about this anymore because I did it. I did. And the fact that you are alive, I know it sounds cliche, the fact that you're alive is something to be grateful for. So I didn't mind not going to the movies, not going to the bars, or just like to the beaches. At some point, it just all became numb to me. I was just grateful that I can wake up, make it to the dinner table, see my fam around me, and do my normal chores, like do my little bit of blogging, little bit of working for the law, all of that. So I think it's a tough journey. I would say no one has it easy. I know everyone's fighting their battles, but one thing that I do want to say is that surround yourself with people who are happier than you are that you survived. Like a lot of people, around you want to work, they care about their jobs, they care about their husbands, their partners, they care about traveling. But there are those 1% of people who would drop it for you, even if it's for a day. They will come and spend that day with you just because, you're alive and you can do that. So I think don't take it for granted. Um, I kind of experienced this where a lot of my friends who I've known for a long time, they kind of put other things before me, and during the process I realized I shouldn't expect it, but I do believe in standards. You should have a certain standard for friends, for family, for your partners. If they don't meet that, then it's better that you not cut them off but distance yourself a little bit for your own mental health, because I feel people are a little selfish. They want to see what's in it for them. If I had a wedding in India, I knew that 50 people would fly in right now because they know that Indian weddings are so fun, right? They would come spend all the time with me. They'll get to party. But the fact that I had cancer, the fact that I couldn't step out and have fun, they thought, oh, but what will we even do then? What's in it for us then? So I think that needs to change a lot. I think if you have a job, great, but if you're not even alive to do that at some point, is it even worth it? So your friends and family should be forced, I think. That's what my perspective is.
Yeah. Do you believe in the idea of stoicism, if you have heard about stoicism?
Can you elaborate on it?
Like, stoicism is basically a mentality in where, you just stay neutral no matter what happens in your life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, like you are just neutral. Whether it's anything good is happening, any good news, you are neutral, anything bad, you are neutral. So, do you believe that sort of mentality is good?
Okay. Okay, it could go both ways. I think when you're happy, I think you should fully experience the happiness. I know people feel scared. ये happiness ज़्यादा दिन के लिए नहीं होगी, then you're gonna be hit with some sadness. I know it's like a switch off, switch on button with life, but I don't like being neutral, so to say. I like having a balance, I would say. Like, I don't want to spend 20 days out partying with my friends and not giving any time to my family or studying or working on something. Like, that's not me. I would do it for like maybe 3 days for my friends, 3 days for my family, 1 day or 2 days for myself, like that. Like, I would balance it out in a way that everyone's satisfied and I also get my me time. You don't have to compromise yourself in a way that you're giving out too much, and I think you should keep a little bit of yourself.
So, Tanisha, I wanted to ask you about, you said like you are also into meditation and all that stuff, and spirituality must be one thing that you might be following. So, with regards to that, when you have any ailment, even like a normal flu or a cold, there are certain changes in your body that a person observes, and you to faced one of the really harsh adversity in your life. So how was the body adapting to it? And even I believe that when one person is involved in meditation, they sort of know like what is happening in their body. So how was the overall body wise experience when it came to cancer?
Physically, I think initially I was very weak. I don't want to ever feel that way again, I would say, because I don't know, a lot of people would relate it as a sports player that when you're on the field or when you're playing a match, you want to be your fittest self, right? You don't want anyone beating you just because you're not fit enough. Like, you want to run the fastest, you want to score the most goals, right? So in this, I just realized how my body has never been weaker. I couldn't walk, and I've never faced that in my life. Like, I'm a runner, I love running. So at some point, I remember my sister and my mom every day at 7:30 till 11:30 had to massage my body, give me cold towels on my head because I couldn't get up. Also, I couldn't even sit straight on my own. So there were people helping me sit. So I was as much as a toddler as I was a 8-year-old grandmom. Like, I was a mix of both, and I just completely felt like I'm not a 25-year-old. Like, my body physically feels like it cannot function as a 25-year-old. So that was the hard part. But since it was my family around me, I think I didn't question it one bit. Initially, I did feel I'm burdening them, and I don't want to say it that my body is hurting that much. But to be honest, sometimes self-care is also a little important, so I just took it as, I have to heal also, so it's fine, I'll do that. So I used to tell them, please, help me right now, and they used to massage it, and for 3-4 hours continuously. That's how it started. And then after that, I started walking a little bit in the room only itself, so 5-10 minutes. Then I went to the park and I started doing a little bit of like 15-20. But to be honest, I think I'm exaggerating. I barely did any physical activity. It was mostly from my bed to the bathroom. That was my physical activity. And it's fine though. It helped me heal faster. If I would have strained myself too much, I think that would have right now cost me a lot. Like my muscles would have just been like too sore to heal. So I do take calcium tablets. I take it every day. I take multivitamins. If I skip it for 2 days also, my body starts hurting, like my bones cramp up. And so right now also I'm physically very weak, but I think I'm going to work on it. I'm a swimmer as well, so I do want to get back to swimming. I'm going to start that, maybe football coaching in Kota. Like I would love to do that. I would love to train girls in Kota for football. Yeah.
Like, were there any incidents when, you were in this stage that was so bad for you that you started abusing your body and the lifestyle that you were having? Because being active in sports and suddenly being so dull, so
Yeah.
it could have an impact.
Definitely. There were days, so in Australia as well, I didn't join the football team in the uni, but I remember I used to play with all the guys in the building. They used to be playing in the car park. And I remember those days, and I was like, 2 months back, I was playing football with like 15 people and chilling. And while I had cancer, mind you, like I didn't know that I had cancer, but I was doing it. So I was like, what's it to stop me now? Like right now also I believe I'm not going to stop for cancer, but I do want to heal a little more. Otherwise, I know I can collapse, like my body would just collapse and I could faint. So I don't want to get there. I do want to get back to my normal life. It's going to take a while, and I've learned to be patient. I've learned to be calm, be in my zen mode when I have to be. So I think that's going to work in my favor. And let's see, one day I would get my body back.
I certainly hope so. So, as we move towards the end of this conversation, like this is a very broad question. I guess it's like an end, but not an end. It's an open-ended question that I have in my mind. So now facing so many things in your life and now even building things in your life and getting back on track and even creating things for others, opportunity for others, what do you feel is your current vision for your life and how you want to implement that?
My current vision, I'm working on it already. It's social impact consulting. I think that's very important. I know there are brands, organizations, and companies who are making profits, but I do want everyone to give back a little back to the society. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to a few people who are interested in that. I want to work on not just cancer awareness, I want to work on other social impact causes and just work to inspire. I think that is what's motivating me to go. And law is also an option next year. Right now, I can't travel back to Australia, sadly. I'm going to take a bit more. I still have my chemo port. It's not going to be removed for another 6-7 months. So I need to be very careful with it. Yeah, that's my plan. I do want to say that, people kind of put themselves in a position that they start pitying themselves. I never do that. I always think if people are thinking I'm going through my rock bottom, I'm going to show them that this is not my rock bottom. I'm here. Like I'm still winning. Like I'm always so motivated to outshine myself. Like if I was here, then I'm going to be here tomorrow. So I think never believe that you've hit the rock bottom. Don't let other people just believe that, oh my god, like, oh, poor her. No, like, don't pity me. I'm doing the best that I can, and I think everyone should be proud for that. And yeah, I think my rock bottom would have been me not being here and talking to you. I wouldn't have even been existing. I think that would be the real rock bottom. So as long as you're alive and you're functional, you have your limbs. Even Stephen Hawking has just his brain, not even the limbs. I think if you have your brain functioning, you can make something out of that. I really do believe it. And plus, you are the director, script writer, main character, side character of your life. So make your movie worth the binge. make other people feel like she's the real character.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what I want to tell people, that don't lose hope.
And to all the dear Gen Z like us who is watching this and who are facing adversities and are in the stage of self-doubts, your piece of advice for them?
Um, for the Gen Z, I think everyone is so caught up in like what's happening around them, what cool things people are doing and they're not doing. I think that's the reality of the situation right now. I do feel take a step back when you can. And like we mentioned earlier, affirmations and calming yourself down about the environment you're in really helps. Tell yourself that you didn't do that badly today. It could have been something worse. Like, I didn't snap at my parents. We meant, like you asked me before, I didn't act aggressively towards anyone during my journey. I did show my objections, so to say, or my when I got upset with my friends, I did tell them that I did not like your attitude, the way you talked to me about this situation, or you didn't come to meet me, and I did think that you should have. I voiced my opinion. That is something that everyone should do, but I do think showing your aggression towards everything does not help. It really doesn't. If you want to let out your emotions, there are different ways. I don't want to harm anyone else's mental health because everyone's a little fragile, so to say. So I'm very mindful like that. Even my parents, I know my dad suffers with anxiety, my mom also a little bit, and my sister also. We are very open as a family where we talk about it. If anyone's feeling anxious or paranoid, we want to talk about it. I know that the reality of India is not the same. Not everyone can talk to their parents in the same manner. But I do think you can start a conversation. You can always bring it up and open everyone's mind to it, not just your own. Like, help other people. Yeah.
That was really very wonderful to hear, and I guess that was all from my side and Team TEDx. So I really hope you had a great time over this conversation. I really wish this
I did.
conversation was in offline mode, but we had this travel constraint. But otherwise, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you for having me again. I think it was wonderful. And I would come to Hindu and meet everyone soon. I think we should have a health checkup in Hindu and have like a conversation, open
Def
conversation about cancer.
Definitely, if our principal agrees for that, so we should definitely do that.
Definitely. Thanks,
Yeah.
Aftab.
Thank you so much for being with us.